All right, welcome to another episode of The American Dream, the only show that combats negative media, not owned by a network, commercial-free, no scripts or teleprompters. What you're going to see on today's show are national interviews with really inspirational guests. You're going to absolutely love them, but also in each city, we tailor advice to your own local marketplace so that you know how you can accomplish your American dream. That being said, let's start our show right now. Every single day, you are consumed with information. With the 24/7 negative news cycle and a pop culture that's polluting the airwaves, all selling out for the ratings game. Well, guess what? There's a more positive way to look at life. You live in the greatest city in the greatest country on the planet. Every day with our elite network of professionals, our goal is to educate, empower, and engage. And now it's time to fight for your American dream.
Well, this week we're focusing in on helping our viewers achieve financial literacy. We've interviewed everybody from change makers to experts to learn how to be more financially responsible, whether that's dealing with your credit or running a business. We want you to be not just financially literate, we want you to be an expert.
Well, our next guest on The American Dream is entrepreneur Scott Oldford. Scott, thank you so much for coming onto the show today.
So awesome to be here. Excited to be here.
So for those that don't know you yet, can you give us just a little bit of your background in a nutshell?
Yeah, for sure. Well, a little bit of a different entrepreneurial story. I started by mistake when I was, 7 years old on my parents' acreage and selling eggs. And then this just kind of ended up being in this entrepreneurial almost vortex of like all these different types of things that I did. And I had this very successful, teenage life of being able to do all these different types of businesses. And then by the time I was 21, I was almost $1 million in debt. So, I really built a lot of things. And then, of course, went reverse, and ego and pride took the best of me, sometimes as they do as entrepreneurs. And I went backwards. And now it's 5 years past that. And I currently own 4 different multi-million-dollar businesses. And I help other entrepreneurs scale 7-figure businesses because I believe that that's really where we can truly have abundance and a freedom in our life.
Okay, so that entrepreneurial spirit, it seems like it's been with you since you were born.
Yeah.
That moment that you were 21 and you had $1 million worth of debt, what are some of the biggest takeaways or lessons you learned from that moment?
I think what it really comes down to is understanding the fact that failure is not necessarily real. It's just what we're perceiving something as, right? We're going through the process of life, and in our process of life, we can perceive something as failure, but rather it's actually the lesson that is required, that is a must-have in order to be able to do what you're actually supposed to do. So I'm here sitting at 26 years old, being able to do these really amazing things, working with amazing people, being able to change the world, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have failure, because that quote-unquote failure allowed me to really, truly tackle the inner side of ego and being able to tackle the inner side of pride and all these sorts of different types of things that now allow me to show up and help other entrepreneurs today. So I think that was the biggest thing, is like failure is not really necessarily quote unquote real. Mm-hmm. It's rather how you perceive it. And that, when your back is against the wall, you just show up every single day and you get 1% better, 1% better, 1% better. So that's some major things, without taking 30 minutes, that would make, that were my largest lessons.
Okay. And at first, when that happened, was that your initial perception, or did you need to learn that?
No, that took some time.
Okay.
That took some time. And going $1 million in debt also doesn't, you just don't wake up one day and you're $1 million in debt. It took a process, it took time, and it took time for me to process this. And it took me years, actually, to kind of cut the anchors, because when you have failure, it doesn't matter if you have a business or not, when you have failure, you anchor yourself to the past. But you got to realize is that the past is the past and the future is yours to actually create.
All right.
And I think that's, took me a couple of years to really embody that and feel that. But I think that everybody needs to understand that the future is the future.
Well, it looks like your future has been really bright. You help other entrepreneurs as well as having the successful businesses that you have. So what are some of the things that have given you that success, or that you cultivate that bring you success in your businesses? And do you take anything from there to help other entrepreneurs find that next step in their business?
Yeah, so it really comes down to there's pillars inside of a business. There's marketing, there's sales, there's finances, there's operations and mindset, and sort of the delivery, right? And I call them the 6 pillars of a 7-figure business. And so what I discovered is really if we utilize these 6 pillars inside of our business, we're able to accelerate its growth by almost being a risk mitigator of saying, well, you know what, how are we getting new leads? How are we actually getting new sales? How are we delivering this? And creating a scenario where, as the entrepreneur, we can become a business owner that is looking forward into the future of saying, hey, here's how I want the business to be set up. Here's the foundation, because business is a long game, not a short game. And I think a lot of people play it as a short game. But if you play it as a long game, you're going to be able to have a future. You're going to have sustainability, scalability, all these different types of things.
Yeah.
And then I think what most people don't realize, because being an entrepreneur is very lonely, because now you're separated from most of society, right? And so that brings a lot of mindset changes, a lot of changes about how you view money, how you actually view yourself, how you view those that are around you, how you hire teams, how you do all these different types of things. And so there's a huge mindset difference between an entrepreneur than anybody else in the world. And so really I've been able to go through a lot of these changes over my time of entrepreneurship. And that's what I essentially do, is share these mindset differences, these changes, so that an entrepreneur can upgrade their reality.
Amazing. So I love how initially during that moment of failure at 21, or that perceived failure, it was all about perception. And now looking forward to the future, your business isn't helping others. It's really this mindset, this perception shift.
And for me, it's my business now is kind of a couple of reasons why I necessarily run it. But one of the largest reasons is simply because of the fact that you don't have to go through all this failure, right? You don't have to go through all this failure.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for coming on the show and giving your insight, and we loved having you here.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
All right. And that was Scott Oldford, entrepreneur. We'll be right back. You're watching The American Dream.
We have a winner! Johnny, you won! You won! Grandma?
There are certain times in life when you need a neutral third party to call the shots.
I wasn't right. I know, but I wasn't right. I wasn't. You hear me?
Keep it fair. Choose Oakwood Escrow.
Next up on the show is Jim Worley, Marketing Director with the Estate Planning Team, and he is joined by Brandon Leopoldus, a sports attorney with Gerard Fox Law. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on to The American Dream today.
Thanks you, Sarah. Nice to be back.
Yeah, it's nice to have you back. A little different. I know you had Craig last time, so now you've got me today. But Jim, I wanted to just ask, how did you both meet?
In our field of work, we work with a lot of different people that are looking to defer taxation and looking for ways to sell their assets without having to do 1031 exchanges, because the deferred sales trust is an alternative to that. I go to various meetings. I go to various group meetings. I met Brandon here at the fuel meeting in Orange County not too long ago. And I was really impressed that, he does what I do, but he does for, athletes and, sports individuals who are getting ready to retire. And I thought, wow, what a great combination. And I knew I was going to come up here, and I thought, well, I'll just bring Brandon on too. So I don't have to impress you. I'll let him impress you. So we'll go with that.
Perfect. All right, Brandon. Well, tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
Sure. Well, I work with athletes, entertainers, other business owners, primarily in that talented individual space. So those people that we typically watch on television, that have some sort of notoriety, we work with them to help them protect their assets and use what they're doing now to last them the rest of their life. Oftentimes, people don't capitalize on their name, likeness, and image when they're in the public eye, and they're really missing an opportunity. And so we work with them to put some structures in place that can help them do that.
So if they don't put some of those things in place while they're, playing professional sports, is it too late for them by the time they see you and they're no longer playing?
For some things, yes. Some things, no. I mean, for a real estate transaction, very possibly. That's usually the biggest thing that anybody's going to purchase. And when you're an athlete or a celebrity and you buy that $1 million home that eventually you can no longer afford, it might be too late if you don't do some sort of asset protection planning or do something with like Jim does. Yeah.
Okay. Jim, I don't know if you want to touch on that at all, or just how you two kind of can work together with the various businesses.
Well, sure. We do like a tax analysis for a client. So Brandon has someone says, "Hey, Jim, he's this so-and-so's getting ready to retire. He's got about $10 million wrapped up in a house he doesn't need anymore. He's, he doesn't have any debt against it. He's going to have to pay 37% in taxes." The guy's like screaming, "What am I going to do?" So we do a tax analysis. There's no cost for that. There's no obligation. We determine what we can do to protect that asset for him, be it a boat, be it a piece of artwork, be it a home. And then we meet with Brandon, his client, and see if the deferred sales trust would be effective for what he's trying to do. And we pass that information on.
So as far as the deferred sales trust, has this been around for a long time? Is it common? Do people know about it? It's gaining in popularity, and the more popularity it gains, the busier I am, because I've been contacted by exchange companies and by title companies going, "Jim, we need you to explain how this works," and I do so. And the exchange company is going, "I have a client, he can't complete the 1031 exchange, time is running out, can you help?" Yes, we can do that. We can transfer the funds into a deferred sales trust, save his taxation. So we do this quite a bit. Again, I'd say Landco Exchange and Exchange Solutions up in San Jose they bring clients to us all the time, and same with title companies as well. All right.
Yeah, enjoy what I do. I really
Great.
do.
So it sounds like that there is quite a bit of benefits with going with the deferred sales
Correct.
trust. Are your clients giving you positive feedback once they find out about this? Are they happy?
Absolutely. I mean, I saved an individual about $1.4 million about a year ago, and we have more clients coming on all the time. They're going, I just don't want to buy another piece of property. I really want to retire. I want to have the cash. Well, take 100% of the profit, invest that, not 67% of it after taxes. So,
okay. Do you guys see yourself teaming up more in the future? And then from that, I think it was called Fuel, you said? Was that the...
Well, he's the fuel guy, so I'll let him explain it.
Yeah, so yes, I do see us teaming up in the future on things. It really depends on that individual client, what's appropriate for them, because it's not a cookie cutter approach for anybody, especially when you're dealing with your legal interests and your finances. Fuel, to get to your second part of your question, is a group that myself and some other people started that work in that celebrity, athlete, high net worth, ultra high net worth space. And we put those like-minded people in a room together. Right now we're in 12 cities, ranging from Orange County and Los Angeles to New York City, and we think we have 3 cities in Florida as well as Dallas and Atlanta. So across the country, we have that network of professionals that is used to dealing with this type of clientele. And it's really a unique situation to have, say, a professional athlete where the mindset's a little bit different than a typical business owner, and it needs to be understood what that lifestyle is like as well, so that those challenges can be approached no matter where they are in the country.
Okay. Well, you both are definitely helping out your clients. What's one of the best things about your job, both of you, before I let you go? Or the most rewarding for you, maybe?
Seeing people that really don't know what to do and finding a solution for them. I get great satisfaction out of doing that.
You give them a bunch of peace of mind, I bet.
I've seen this happen over and over again. People that are retiring, people that they want to get out of the real estate game. They don't want the headaches. And it's just very rewarding to be able to offer that to them. And he's got so many things. My God.
You got one at least?
I'll tell you, I grew up at a high level of sport. My sister was an Olympic level gymnast, and so I got to see that firsthand and really grow up at the Olympic Training Center. And then I went into pro baseball myself. So I get to help those same people that gave me so much and blessed my life so much. And it's really rewarding when I'm able to do something that might be a daily task for me, but it really helps them and helps their family. That's just really rewarding, giving back to that community that's given me so much.
Cool.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your insight. It was great talking with you both.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.
And that was Jim Worley, Marketing Director with the Estate Planning Team, and Brandon Leopoldus, Sports Attorney with Gerard Fox Law. Don't go anywhere. The American Dream will be right back.
Hey, American Dreamers. My #1 job is to be your consumer advocate. When you see these guests on the show, I have traveled all over the country to vet the best professionals in your area. If you have a question, real estate, finance, mortgage, tax planning, estate planning, credit, whatever it might be, email me directly and I will respond before my head hits the pillow. Love to help you achieve your American dream.
Right now, we take you out to the field in San Diego with Jordan Beal of Beal Real Estate. Let's see what Jordan has in store for us today.
Hey guys, Sarah Faherty here with The American Dream. Today we are meeting with a top producing real estate agent here in La Jolla at one of their luxury staples. Let's go take a look. Jordan, thank you so much for meeting with us today. Can you tell me a little bit about where we are?
Yeah, well, first of all, Sarah, thank you so much for having us today. We're at one of my favorite local businesses here in La Jolla, O'Gara, La Jolla, Bentley, Bugatti, Rolls-Royce, and Lamborghini. And I thought no better time to showcase such a great business with the Concours d'Elegance coming up here in a few weeks. We're here with my good friend Jeremy, who's going to tell us about probably my favorite car, the Rolls-Royce Dawn Black Badge.
Jeremy, thank you for joining us as well. Can you tell me a little bit about this incredible car that's behind us?
Of course. Well, thank you for having me. First off, we have here the 2018 Rolls-Royce Dawn Black Badge, of course. This is Rolls-Royce's attempt at stepping away from a more traditional image in regards to their vehicles. They're really trying to target the youth and more of a youthful appearance. We have here this beautiful Arctic white on midnight sapphire two-tone convertible with a really nice navy blue on Arctic white color split on the interior. If you can't see, of course, it has the piano black veneer and a really nice carbon aluminum lightweight rim alloy design. So it's really just taking Rolls-Royce to a whole new level of luxury and opulence.
And Jordan, who else are we here with today?
We're here with my good friend, my longtime friend, Stefan Kellar, who I thought would be no better person to show true insight into the La Jolla community, having grown up here and whose family's been here for what, nearly 100 years?
Yes. So as you mentioned, my family's been here for 5 generations. I've been really blessed and lucky enough to, grow up here and experience La Jolla for what it is. And, growing up one block from the beach, I've been able to grow up surfing, kayaking, just enjoying what La Jolla has to offer, which is so much. I mean, I feel so blessed to be here. And, I went to school with Stella Maris, which is over there in La Jolla, then went to La Jolla High. So definitely a lot of ties here. And, as you mentioned, 5 generations here. My great-great-grandfather actually founded La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club in 1935. So being able to be a part of that legacy has been just incredible, and to be able to grow up here and experience everything that La Jolla has to offer.
And I know it's one of my favorite places, being one of the only private beaches, definitely in San Diego, but maybe all of Southern California.
Exactly. It's one of the only private beaches, and a place where you can bring your family. And a good story is my great-grandfather and my grandfather grew up, and my mom and myself grew up swimming in that pool. We all learned how to swim in the exact same pool, so it's kind of cool.
And you were telling me a little bit about what real estate used to be like in La Jolla, and a story your great-grandfather told you, or grandfather.
Yeah, so my grandfather used to tell me so many great stories about growing up here in La Jolla, and one of them was that the lots in La Jolla Shores used to go for about $200.
Mind blown,
yeah,
right?
It's incredible. It's incredible. I wish I was maybe a little bit older.
Yeah.
Definitely. So since you are such a true local here, you can speak to events. Is there anything coming up that you would want people to know about, or that's big to this community?
One of my most favorite events is something that's been carried on for a long time. It's called the Jewel Ball, and it's actually held at La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club, and it's the first weekend in August. And it's been going on, I think, since 1946, and they've raised over $20 million for local charities, and they just do an incredible job of transforming the beach club. And every year they pick a different theme, so when you drive in, it's like nothing you've ever seen. It's like a Cinderella ball. So it's really incredible.
That's amazing. And when did you say that was?
It's in the first weekend of August, generally, yeah.
Fantastic. Sounds incredible. Well, guys, thank you so much for meeting with me today. Looks like a beautiful day. Can we take this out for a spin?
Of course. Let's go for a ride.
A little joyride?
Let's go.
Again, I'm Sarah Faherty with American Dream. Thank you so much, Jordan Beal of Beal Real Estate, for coming and meeting with us today and bringing your guests, Jeremy and Stefan. For more information on the area, be sure to reach out to Jordan and his team.
Hey, Craig Sewing here, your host of The American Dream. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I want to invite you to engage in the conversation outside of the show. How do you do that? Visit us online and on social media. We have so much activity happening there full interviews, resources, all kinds of cool stuff that you can engage with us and our conversation and help support the American dream, where we're combating all that negative stuff you see in the media. But don't forget, I also want to be your #1 consumer advocate, so anything we can help you with, finance, real estate, mortgage, tax planning, estate planning, even credit scoring, we have the resources and the relationships that we can help you. Visit us online, engage in the conversation on social media, and don't forget, we want to empower your American dream, so reach out if you ever need anything. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, and thank you so much for following us on social media and engaging in the conversation. Cheers to your American dream.
Next up on our show is the CEO and co-founder of Medspace. Please welcome Barnabas Perez. Barnabas, thank you so much for coming on to the American Dream.
Thank you.
So for those that don't know about Medspace, what is it?
So Medspace is a software-based product. It connects the patient with post-acute services. So what we want to do is we want to create the ecosystem around post-acute services so that patients can have on-demand services when they need them. Additionally, we connect the patient upon discharge of the hospital with optimal care. So, for example, if a patient speaks a specific language, has a specific type of culture, has different type of medical diagnoses, we take all of this information and then we connect this patient with optimal post-acute care. So we're a web-based platform and mobile-based platform for the patient.
Okay, so this will help patients once they leave the hospital and have at-home care and take certain things into consideration, like communication and maybe cultural differences, things like that?
Yes, exactly. So if you imagine it, it's kind of like it's a mix of Airbnb, it's a mix of Amazon, it's a mix of, what's another good one? Allscripts. Allscripts also has a function like this, but it's a mix of all these different functions that aren't really connected together. So we want to connect all of these so post-acute services can communicate better. So
sure,
for
make
the
it a little
patient.
bit easier, maybe, or more streamlined.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with this idea? Was there a certain motivation or inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so I'll give you a quick example. When I was going to college, my father was diagnosed with a few different problems, or medical diagnoses. And at that point, he was at the point of discharge from the hospital. He was assigned a home health agency. I did notice a few problems there, and one of the problems was that the nurse could not communicate properly with my father. She couldn't speak his language, right? Mm-hmm. Another thing was culturally didn't fit with my father. My father was very culturally involved with himself and his background. And my father also had a mental issue, and he also had a physical issue. So those were two things that a nurse should have been prepared to take care of. However, this nurse, I believe, it wasn't her fault, obviously. It was just she was matched with the wrong patient. At that point, my father always expressed to me that it was always very uncomfortable when this nurse would come over and take care of my father, and that shouldn't exist within this realm. Yeah. And obviously, this realm is still growing, so this is always happening. And I think that's one of the things we want to solve. We want to make sure that the patient is being matched with quality care for his or her profile. Additionally, when my father needed transportation from his house to a dentist, I called the home health agency and they said, you need to schedule it 3 days before so we can do this for you. And I thought that shouldn't exist in this field. So because of that, that's the on-demand services that we want to also provide. We want to connect transportation systems. We want to connect DME on demand. You know, if you need your oxygen tank refilled, you should get that immediately, and you should have an immediate access to order those type of things. So that's our secondary platform for them.
All right. So I imagine we had talked ahead of time, but kind of like how, you know, you can go in your phone and press on the Uber or app or Lyft app and get a car right away or within minutes. Yeah. The same kind of thing you would be able to now provide for patients that are at home and need to get somewhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I imagine a lot of motivation behind it with your dad's story, and so he must not be the only person that's ever felt this way.
Of course not. Yeah, in fact, I think statistics say anywhere between 20 to 30% percent of Americans have to take care of their loved ones at some point in time, or have to schedule someone to take care of their loved ones at some point in time. So this is a problem that we're all going to have to go through. I mean, it's not a problem, but it's an event.
Right?
It's an event that we're all going to go through, right? We're all aging. Our parents are aging. We're going to need to schedule them care services one day, or we're going to have to take care of them. But these fragments of issues create uncomfortable care and inability to provide quality care, and I think that's what Medspace is solving.
Okay.
That's truly what Medspace is solving.
Just really quickly, what have you done for Medspace so far? What's the traction like?
So we're actually doing business in Singapore, and we're building with a really big company over there. The government of Singapore is very interested in a system like this that can prevent readmissions into their hospitals. So we've already started co-development with them in Singapore. We're also talking to a few hospitals in New Orleans. We're talking to the mid sector Delta HCA sector, which is about 17 hospitals within the Midwest, and New Orleans is one of those places. So we're expanding and we're growing very rapidly.
Great. Well, Barnabas, thank you so much for coming on to the American Dream and sharing your insight into Medspace. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and that was Barnabas Perez, CEO and co-founder of Medspace. Be sure to stick around. American Dream. We'll be right back.
Hey, American Dreamers, my #1 job is to be your consumer advocate. When you see these guests on the show, I have traveled all over the country to vet the best professionals in your area. If you have a question, real estate, finance, mortgage, tax planning, estate planning, credit, whatever it might be, email me directly and I will respond before my head hits the pillow. Love to help you achieve your American dream. Thanks for checking out today's show, where our goal is to educate, empower, and engage your American dream. Don't forget, if you have questions or want to connect with any of our guests, visit us online at AmericanDreamNetwork.tv. Also, follow us on social media. We'd love to hear from you. If you like this positive message, please comment, share, breathe oxygen into it. We'll see you on the next show. In the meantime, cheers to your American dream.